World War II was quite possibly the most impactful event in modern world history. Nations clashed over global power, resources, and even racist beliefs. As a result, well over 50 million people lost their lives, but multitudes of stories, some real and some fictional, were born. I'm going to introduce you to two novels that are historical fiction and one that is nonfiction. Each book is not only tied together by the events of World War II, but also by the important information plays in conflicts. Remember, knowledge really is power. We begin with Joseph Bruchack's novel Code Talker. The United States has just been attacked by the Japanese military, which is seeking to build a Pacific empire. In order to stop them, American soldiers must fight the Japanese on numerous islands that have thick jungles, hungry insects, and maybe even volcanoes. Flash back to the New Mexico desert. A Navajo boy who is small for his age is sent off to school by his family in order to learn English. The teachers at this school punish the children for speaking the Navajo language and tell the students that Navajo people can never be as good as white people. The boy is not even allowed to use his birth name and is renamed Ned by a teacher. When war breaks out, Ned wants to join the Marines to prove he is as capable as anyone else. He also wants to serve his country. In fact, he lies about his age, joins the Marines as a 16-year-old, and after boot camp is placed with other Navajo soldiers who have a special mission. The Navajo soldiers create a military code using their own language. This code must quickly relay information between American soldiers without being understood by Japanese spies. In school, Ned and the other Navajo students were told their language was worthless, but the United States Armed Forces realized that their language is vital to victory. Japanese military customs make surrendering battles unacceptable. This leads to fights that result in hundreds of thousands of casualties. One such event was the Battle of Iwo Jima. Ned and his new friends Georgia Boy and Smitty must take cover from machine gun and artillery fire, avoid snipers, not spring booby traps, and even fend off a banzai charge as they advance on the Japanese fortification. Unfortunately for the Marines, those snipers are hidden, and two of the characters I mentioned get hit. It is in these conditions the Navajo code talkers must stay alive and communicate on their radios so the United States military can make decisions that will determine the outcome of the war. Of course we know that the United States defeated Japan, but what happened to Ned? Code Talker by Joseph Bruchack is historical fiction that seems so real you have to remind yourself it was written by someone who wasn't actually there. If you like history, this is a must-read for getting a good idea of what it was like to fight in the Pacific during World War II. If you just like good stories, this is a tale of overcoming prejudice and historically rushing into chaotic danger in order to save half the world from authoritarian rule. While the United States was in a fierce struggle with Japan, the Nazis conquered most of Europe. In Girl in the Blue Coat, Monica Hess tells the story of Dutch people trying to survive the German occupation of the Netherlands. But for different people, survival means different things. 17-year-old Hanneke survives by delivering black market goods to paying customers while her own parents cannot find work. One such customer is trying to help a Jewish girl named Miriam survive Nazi capture. When the Nazis take Jewish people from their homes, they are never seen again. The problem is Miriam has run away from her hiding place. Now Hanneke is being asked by this customer to find Miriam before the Nazis do. Hanneke thinks it's just too much to ask of her. Amsterdam is crawling with Nazi soldiers and worse, Dutch people who support the Nazis. She has to take care of her family and cannot risk her freedom or her life to save someone she doesn't even know. But curiosity, or humanity, gets the best of her, and Hanneke begins searching for clues to find the missing girl. As she searches for Miriam, an underground Dutch resistance group finds her. This group is led by her boyfriend's brother, and painful memories torment Hanneke. She blames herself for her boyfriend's death in a battle against the Nazis. Resistance leader Ali agrees to help Hanneke if she also helps them. It is at this time that Hanneke gets a glimpse of how the Nazis are brutally treating the Jews. While looking for Miriam, Hanneke is able to trick Nazi guards into letting her enter the movie theater the Germans are using to imprison Dutch Jews. She witnesses hundreds of people crowded into a single space where there are no beds or bathrooms. Immediately, she is approached by Jewish prisoners who beg for her help, but Hanukkah freezes because she is sickened by the conditions. Can Hanukkah avoid Nazi capture? Can she save Miriam? Nazis could shoot the resistance group in the street if their cover is blown. Hanukkah needs to use her knowledge of Amsterdam as well as human tendencies in order to survive. But war is ugly and tragic, and not everything is what it seems. Girl in the Blue Coat by Monica Hess is not only compelling historical fiction, but also a mystery. While Hanukkah seeks truth, she must avoid being discovered by the enemy. This novel shows that during a time of war, civilians often must choose which side they are on and decide whether to save the lives of others or passively allow evil to win. After World War II, the world was shown just how evil the Nazis were, as stories of German atrocities against Europe's Jewish population came to light. The Nazis knew they committed some of the most evil acts in human history, and many Nazis changed their names and fled from Europe. In The Nazi Hunters, author Neil Bascom tells of the pursuit of Adolf Eichmann by Israeli agents. Eichmann was one of the top Nazis in charge of the final solution. This meant he was one of those most responsible for the deaths of over 5 million Jews during the Holocaust. Israel is a nation that was formed after the war so that the Jewish people could live in a country that did not discriminate against them. And the Mossad is the Israeli defense and intelligence agency that uses spycraft to keep the people of Israel safe. After receiving information that Eichmann may be living in Argentina, the government of Israel decided to send spies to track him down. Many people wanted Eichmann brought to Israel to stand trial for the crimes he committed against the Jews. But there were many problems. Argentina's government would not hand over Eichmann to Israel even if they did find him. 15 years had passed since Eichmann had been in command of Nazi soldiers. What would he look like? Would he have a disguise? Would he have the same name? Was he surrounded by other former Nazis who would protect him? After all, Eichmann was a dangerous SS officer. Or what if he was actually dead? What if it wasn't really Eichmann? The Israeli agents needed to gather as much information as they could on Eichmann before even considering going to Argentina. They delved into his past to learn about his family life. They also needed to find out if he kept some of the vast amount of money he stole from the Jews. The Israelis didn't even have a clear photograph of Eichmann. Despite this, the Mossad used its best detectives to get a clear picture of Eichmann. They then used fake passports to sneak into Argentina. Israeli agents needed to learn different customs and blend into a country where most did not even speak the language. They had to forge documents to trick Argentinian officials, figure out how to kidnap someone and hold them as a prisoner without being noticed, and smuggle them out of Argentina. The Mossad even flew a commercial jet airplane into Argentina's busiest airport under false pretenses. This spy work required getting so close to the man they believed to be Adolf Eichmann they could reach out and touch him. One mission involved Agent Rendy walking right up to Eichmann and his son. The agent pretended he was searching for a house in the Nazis' neighborhood, but he was really taking pictures of Eichmann using a camera hidden in a briefcase. On another intel mission, Agent Zvi Arouani sat right behind Eichmann on a bus. Had anyone tried to speak to the agent, they would have discovered he didn't actually know Spanish and his cover would have been blown. Had Eichmann suspected he was being watched, he would have moved his family and possibly never been seen again. For the team of Mossad agents, this mission had plenty of personal meaning. All of the agents sent to get Eichmann had family members who died during the Holocaust. The head of the Mossad, Isser Harel, chose these agents because they would be greatly motivated to succeed. For many Jews, capturing this Nazi and putting him on trial would allow them to tell their story to the rest of the world. Only 15 years after World War II, there were people around the world who still believed in Nazi causes or were prejudiced against the Jewish people. Putting Eichmann on trial would let these people know that anti-Semitism led to horrific acts. The Nazi Hunters by Neil Bascom is a true account of the search and capture mission of Nazi leader Adolf Eichmann. This novel is an incredible reminder of the inhumane acts of the Nazis and a compelling look at the effort and cleverness that was required to bring him to justice. You may think that you know a lot about World War II, but Code Talker, Girl in the Blue Coat, and The Nazi Hunters are all novels that show the events and consequences of World War II in a manner you won't get in your history classes. Individuals were presented with the option of choosing to either endanger themselves in the name of justice or preserve their own safety, even if it meant letting the bad guys win. These novels also prove that victory is often achieved by having more knowledge. That may be because of an unbreakable code language on Pacific Islands, deft maneuvering of the Amsterdam underground, or hunting dangerous prey in Argentina.